Santa just revealed Etalus to be Rivals of Aether 2's 11th fighter, and his kit looks awesome. Today, I'll be taking a look at his original Rivals 1 design, analyzing his trailer, and sharing highlights from Santa's Q&A. I'll also go over Etalus's limited lore and how it affects the game's storyline. We'll start there to give you a quick background on him, since it's super brief. But if you're here just for the gameplay analysis or theories on what he's going to be able to do, feel free to skip around with the chapters. Etalus is one of the harbor guards, hailing from the north. The harbor guard's job was to protect the northern lands and seas to keep them open for trade routes. Their primary trading partners were the citizens of the southern continent. However, according to Etalus's bio on the Rivals of Aether website, he hasn't had contact with anyone from those countries in years. The Southerners assumed the harbor guards were defeated in battle, when, in reality, they were forced to leave their post by the Black Ice, a gang of creatures composed of ice and shadow, which wiped out many of the harbor guards, leaving him all alone to defend his people. This makes Etalus our first non-primary character added to Rivals 2 in the lore, since every character added so far has interacted canonically in some form with other cast members, leaving a lot to be told about him in potential story mode updates. I might be wrong on that, so if I missed anything about his lore, let me know. I couldn't find a ton of great sources. But now that we know who Etalus is, let's take a peek at what he does. I'll start by going over his Rivals 1 kit, and then look at his Rivals 2 trailer and see what's new. Etalus is heavy in Rivals of Aether. He's one of the largest characters in the game, and his hitboxes are more than generous to make up for it. He's super technical with how he uses ice, and his high actions per minute make him one of the harder characters to master, in my opinion. His elemental gimmick revolves around his ice mechanic. By using his F-tilt or forward special, Etalus is able to cover the ground in ice, giving him silly melee-esque Luigi wave dash and arcane-coded sliding with some of his moves. Hit falling is also super important in his kit, since the weak hit of Bear and lingering hit of Nair don't send opponents too far, allowing him to combo them into themselves when performed properly. This knocks opponents slowly up, comboing into his overhead up air, which throws opponents down. This allows great synergy within his aerials and sets up for nasty early offstage kills. Speaking of offstage kills, his down air is a chunky multi-hit that bounces grounded opponents above him, but dunks recovering opponents straight down. I imagine if this move has any form of disjoint into, it'll feel super oppressive, since Etalus is so good at forcing low recoveries as is. The last aerial we haven't touched on is his forward air. It's a super standard punch that does big damage, but is a little slower to compensate. The sweet spot on his bear is stronger if I remember right, but the forward air packs a meaty punch nonetheless. Speaking of meaty, let's check out his powerful tilts. All of Etalus's tilts feel really powerful, especially when combined with his sliding movement in ice. His forward tilt can be used to lay down the ice, and I imagine this move will be pretty safe on shield when fully spaced. His down tilt pokes at opponents twice, knocking them up into the air, and setting them up for air conversions that we talked about earlier. The up tilt is a quick uppercut that does just about the same, but hits above his head. It's a pretty solid anti-air. These tilts allow Etalus to continue to loop fighters DIing down from his air combos, which adds a lot more depth and routes to his overall gameplay. Moving on to Etalus's specials, let's check out his ice mechanic. Etalus can use side B to cover the stage with ice, but we already mentioned that. Something I didn't mention about it, however, is that it drops from the sky, allowing Etalus to snipe high recoveries and force opponents to burn resources without him having to take any risks of going off stage himself. This is also handy when Etalus is recovering, since he can call down ice and then up B, knocking over-enthusiastic opponents out of the way. If you're having trouble ledge guarding him at launch, I'd suggest waiting for him to side B, dodge, or block it, and then go to spike him. That was my go-to route in Rivals 1. Speaking of spiking him, his up special is super vulnerable. It's like a charged up B, gaining height the longer he holds it. It's similar to Banjo-Kazooie if you've played Ultimate. He can cancel the up B into an attack, which allows him to recover high a bit more safely than someone like Clarin. The bottom hitbox of his up B is a spike, but that's only there for the first part of the move, so it's pretty hard to use intentionally, especially compared to his lingering down air. His down B is a Bowser Bomb-esque slam that shatters all the ice on the stage, freezing anyone standing on it. It's a pretty simple move, but you can call it bad positioning with it for sure. His last special move is his neutral special, which is pretty similar to a Falcon Punch frame data-wise, but has a bit larger hitbox, since it makes a wide arc from above his head to the ground. If you use this move while standing on ice, Etalus gains armor, which protects him when using strong attacks and his upbeat, but wears off after he takes enough damage or he uses one of those moves. The last part of his kit is his strong attacks. Up strong is a big scooping move that can be dash attack cancelled, allowing for massive coverage on ice. His forward smash is a quick lunge forward, and his down smash is an axe swing down on either side of him. These moves are all really strong and kill really early, but their bad frame data holds them back a lot. This means that you'll want to have the armor buff when using them. One last move I forgot to touch on is his dash attack. If you use the dash attack on ice, it's actually jump cancelable in most parts of the move. I'm not sure if it'll be jump cancelable on shield, and Santa wasn't sure either, but I think this move might have insane mix in the game. Yo, I didn't know where else to put this. I'm hopping in here off script really quickly. If you could, drop a like, subscribe, maybe even comment to boost the algo. I'm a grassroots tournament organizer in East Texas, so any support goes a long way. I also run free weekly online tournaments in my Discord, and I have a link in the bio if you're interested. That was a lot to go over, but now we know his whole kit from 1. Let's go over the trailer and see what we can find about his kit in 2. First things first, let's locate all his new options. The first new option I spotted him doing is some kind of aerial armor against fleet up tilt. I'm not sure if this is akin to Bowser's Tough Guy in Smash, but he makes kind of a blocking motion, which leads me to believe there's some form of input happening here to make him take that stance. He also doesn't have any ice armor here, so I don't think it's related to that. Right after, we're shown a scene of the Primal Etalus skin using a special pummel and down throw on Crag. We aren't shown the special pummel animation here, but Crag misses a tech and gets frozen where he lands. Santa yapped about this in the Q&A and said the ice above your head will drop, freezing you in place upon landing. But based on how you land, you have different defensive options. I think this adds a lot of depth, since the counterplay to special pummel down throw will be a lot different than the counterplay to special pummel up throw, I imagine. After this scene, we see Etalus do a special get up, where he spits ice onto the stage and slides a la Coca-Cola Bear in the commercials. We see that it has a weak hitbox here at the end of the move, so we can imagine that it would be active the whole time Etalus does his little slide. The slide ends where the ice ends, so I assume that that's how the move reaches its end, but if that's the case, you might not be able to cancel it. I'd imagine that'd make the special get up really punishing to use if you have a lot of ice on the stage, since he'd be unactionable for a lot longer. After this, we see Etalus' up throw and neutral pummel clobbering Arcane. This up throw doesn't look like it sends super far, and it doesn't look like Arcane is inactionable for too long. I imagine you can't true combo into anything off this at 0, if the numbers stay the same, but I'm sure you could force your opponent to click a button, wait for that, and then punish that option. We then see what I assume is Etalus' forward throw against Maple on Harbor. We see a super sick clip where Etalus gets multiple refreezes, and we see the down B freeze Maple on hit instead of just launching her. Down B also looks pretty quick here, so I wonder if it'll actually be that fast on launch out of a jump cancel. Speaking of cancels, we see Etalus cancel his upbeat into a fast fall forward air to kill Maple off the side, confirming that we will still have that tech from Rivals 1. Our last new piece of info is not in the trailer, but from Santa himself, letting us know that up air is a hit grab, similar to how Raster down B works. This means you can't grab people out of their shields on platforms. This seems pretty fair and balanced, to be honest, since not having any counterplay to the up air on a plat would be a touch crazy if you ask me. Overall, Etalus looks really strong, and looks like he maintains his high APM playstyle from Rivals of Aether 1. I'm personally really excited to try him out, since I really like Loxodon's feel in this game, but he's slightly too slow movement-wise for my taste. And knowing how Etalus is, I imagine his movement will be much faster and much more expressive. That's just about all the info I could find on Etalus. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments, and if you're looking for more Rivals content, or are looking for a cool community to learn and play the game with, check out our Rivals Guide playlist, or our Discord server. I host weekly online events in there and would love to have you. Until next time, Merry Christmas!